everyone, and welcome to a brand new edition, opening day edition of the MetsLife Show. I'm your host, Rashid McDonald, and today the Mets are taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates on opening day. It'll be Paul Skeens going up against Freddie Peralta. We're going to be previewing all of the matchups that's going to be happening in this series, and we're going to be talking about some key players for the Mets, and also we're going to be talking about Paul Skeens. And with me to do that, I have Julian Gallardi, who's going to be joining us. And before we get into that, we're going to take a look at the series matchups. We have Paul Skeens going up against Freddie Peralta in Game 1. We have Mitch Keller, David Peterson in Game 2. And then we have Nolan McLean going up against Cameron, Game 3 of this series. Joining me now to discuss more about this Mets and Pirates matchup is reporter Julian Gallardi. Julian, how you doing?
Thanks, Rashid, for having me back in the fold. I know we've been trying to cook this for a minute. Doing really well. It's a great day. It's opening day. I know your Mets start tomorrow. Yankees tip it all off tonight. It's interesting that they're getting an ISO spot. You don't really see that in Major League Baseball that much in the normal games, not international. But Mets against the Pirates tomorrow should be fun at Citi Field as well. So thanks, bro. It will be good.
Now, let's get into the first matchup. So we got Paul Skeens going up against Freddie Peralta. Now, during the World Baseball Classic, you had the opportunity to speak to Paul Skeens. I know you got to ask him a question. Based on the kind of like character that he is, what can you tell us about what he brings to the table, and especially going up against this brand new Mets lineup?
I think he's a special competitor, Paul Skeens. I think he's the guy that just like is all about business. Like, even though he's very good, like he doesn't really make headlines off the field. Obviously, he's very quiet, diligent, goes about his work like gonna work. Well, it's like that military attitude he has because he wanted to join the Air Force. So, I think he's phenomenal. Obviously, it's interesting he's going to face Peralta after facing the DR, and he did get some battles against Soto, so he will see Soto again. He's seen Soto in All-Star games before, so I always get fascinated by the Skeens and Soto matchup because of like how well Skeens pounds the zone and how well Soto sees the zone. I think he's going to be pitching great, obviously. He'll probably give another quality start like he always does. Will he go 7 on opening day? If he could be efficient, I suppose. I mean, he actually is kind of built up from the WBC. So in theory, like, he should be able to throw a nice 100 on opening day. I just think he's going to put it all out there like he always does. It'll be a good challenge for the Mets. And then, like, they might have to beat the Pirates bullpen, which is obviously possible.
Now, going up against Paul Skeens is going to be Freddie Peralta, who the Mets traded for to do what they needed to do, which was add some much necessary, much needed firepower at the top of that rotation to pair up with Mets Nolan McLean and with Kodai Senga and David
Yeah.
Peterson, who they have here. Now, Freddie Peralta last season had a 17-6 record. He was first in the National League in wins. ERA, he was fourth with a 2.70. In strikeouts, he was sixth with 204 strikeouts. And he posted 30 consecutive scoreless innings from August 5th to September 10th, the second longest in Brewers history. What can you tell me about this Mets trade, getting Freddie Peralta, bringing him in, and potentially extending him once the season's over?
I think it's a genius move. I really do. I think it works out well for the Brewers because they had to trade him. They get some good value back for him. I think it's like a 1A, a 1B now with Nolan McLean and Peralta. You give Peralta the respect because he's a veteran. You let him start opening day. You take a little pressure off the kid and let him be the second starter. I think it's nice pairing. You could probably learn from Peralta a little bit. And I think it's going to be very interesting. But you know as well as I do, you know, for Peralta did say he grew up rooting for the Mets, which I didn't know before the trade. So I found it interesting. Like some people in his family were Met fans. But I think you just have to see how he's going to shift to New York. But for the good thing for you and Met fans, I would say, is that he is facing a familiar foe in the Pirates, but they also made a lot of changes. So how similar is that Pirates lineup to what he's seen in the past? But it's not like he's seeing a team he's never seen before. So I think he'll probably pitch well, like he normally does. So it'll be a very good pitcher's duel, I think, that first game. That's how I'm looking at it.
Now, the Mets made some other very interesting moves. Now, we were at the winter meetings when the
Mm-hmm.
Mets, Edwin Diaz ended up signing with the Dodgers, and then a couple days later, actually, I think it was on December 11th or 12th. I'm not sure which date. Or probably could have been the 10th. I think December 10th. Pete Alonso signs with the Baltimore Orioles a 5-year deal, effectively ending his tenure with the New York Mets as the all-time Mets home run leader, and that
Yeah,
really didn't make a lot of fans happy, but they had some backup plans. They
they
went
sure did.
and they traded Brendan Nimmo for Marcus Simeon. They went out there and they signed Bo Bichette, and they went out there also and they got Jorge Polanco, who I think is gonna be a sleeper with this team. But let's start with Bo Bichette. He was tied for second in the majors in hits with 181. He was second in MLB, all of MLB, with 44 doubles. You've seen now covering the Yankees a lot of Bo Bichette
Uh,
during his career with the Toronto Blue Jays. Getting Bo Bichette to come in here and play for the New York Mets, how important was that for the New York Mets after Pete Alonso went to the Baltimore Orioles?
I think it was huge. I think he's a good replacement. He's not going to quite provide the same pop, but like he is going to balance out the lineup for a more contact-oriented approach, kind of similar to Polanco as well. But both guys can hit it out, obviously, and we saw both guys have big home runs in October. So I think that's good. You got two playoff bats there. I question their defensive fits a little bit on both sides, but we just have to see how that goes. There's no way to know until we see them actually do it. You can see all the spring training clips you want, but how does that translate when the season starts? But Chet's going to be a great hitter for the Mets. So that's my favorite home run, the home run against Otani. I talk about it all the time. It was just like a vicious home run. And he was great in the World Series, even though he was hurt. And I think he's going to be a breath of fresh air for some lineup dynamics. He's going to be hitting Bryce Soto, so that'll be good protection for Soto. I believe it's going to be, well, you know better than me probably, but are they doing Soto and Bo behind him, or are they going by? I think it's when Lindor, Soto, Bo, and then was healthy, probably, right? Or is it Bo, Soto?
I think the Mets are gonna go with the Lindor, Soto, and Bichette combination to start
Right.
off.
Yeah. There you go.
I think if anything falters, they'll fix it. But we'll get a little bit into Juan Soto and why I think we're gonna get a different type of Juan Soto with the Mets this year. But another player that the Mets did trade for was Marcus Simeon, who they traded fan favorite Brandon Nimmo. He's gone. He's out of the building. They bring in another character player in Marcus Semien, and that's kind of been the theme here with these Mets and the transition
Yeah.
and bringing in these players is they've been saying, we're bringing in some character guys like Bo Bichette,
Yes.
Marcus Semien, Freddie Peralta. They call them character guys, but Marcus Semien was underwhelming in 2025. Didn't
He
have his
was.
best season. But the Mets do believe that he does have some good baseball left in him. What say you about this Marcus Semien trade, Brandon Nimmo for Marcus Semien?
I think that's where things got a little bit weird for me because, like, if you had Bo Bichette to play second base, I would have liked it better than having him to play third base. But, like, you got him after Marcus Simeon, so I was, like, a little thrown off from the positional fit, but I get it's a good bat. Obviously, you want to get all the good bats you can. Well, Marcus Simeon, I mean, Brandon Nimmo's contract wasn't that great either. He was younger than Simeon, though, so you're weighing pros and cons there. You basically have Benj and Robert now instead of Nimmo and Taylor, which is probably an upgrade, I guess, but we'll have to see if that plays out. And I know we're going to get to Carson later, but I think Simeon, obviously, his floor is at least a good defender that can hit a little bit, but you're going to want his bat to return. He's obviously won Gold Glove a second. I know the Mets want to fix their defense a little bit too. And yes, the clubhouse culture is something you brought up that's very important. And I know Luis Robert was very respected in the White Sox clubhouse too. I heard
Right. Correct.
Kyle Teal was talking about how he was a leader, a quiet leader in the White Sox clubhouse. So um, I think Hill blends in there as well. I'm sure Soto will like Cameron Robert around because there's no more Marte. So I don't know how much he knew him prior, but and they're both Dominicans, and there's a few other Dominicans on the team. But like, I think you should definitely have a more peaceful locker room this year. I don't know exactly what took place last year, but I think they got rid of most of anything that was causing a riot, with like Jeff McNeil and all the other stuff. Like David Stearns with a very workday like approach. He clearly wasn't listening to any fair requests this
Right,
offseason.
right, right. Now, you did talk about something very interesting. You mentioned the clubhouse culture, which is something I was able to speak to manager Carlos Mendoza about during the spring training intro interviews.
Oh,
And he alluded that no matter how, you know, last year ended, the focus on day one has to be making sure that all these guys know and understand that they're playing for each other, right? And I think that's huge because you saw in 2024 when that locker room came together how it propelled them into a
yeah,
deep playoff run. You get what I mean? The Mets were the
of
best
course.
team in baseball up until things started falling apart in June of last year. They were the best team in baseball, had the best record from that point when they had that clubhouse meeting up until the wheels fell off last season. And I do think that the clubhouse this year is going to be different because you got a Juan Soto who got to play for his country and is going to bring in a different attitude. Now, speaking of Juan Soto, this is something that I
All
really
right.
wanted to get into because there was a lot of talk about riffraff between Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto, which I did not
Yeah.
believe because I was at the field and I never saw anything of the sort. But Juan Soto had some interesting comments. He talked about Shohei Ohtani saying, he should keep doing what he's doing because I'm coming for him. What did you think about those comments? Because last year he led the league in walks, stolen bases. He was tied for first in the National League in stolen bases, Juan Soto. And I don't think that's going away. I think he figured something out last year that is going to allow him to probably continue doing it and tinker with it a little bit more. But, seventh in MLB in home runs with 43. What do you think this Juan Soto is going to be like for the Mets this season?
Yeah, I think he'll take out some of the protective layer that you saw year one. I do agree with you. I hope to see him out and about more if I do get to cover these games and not just like going in the cage to hit inside. I think he's going to be more comfortable and stuff. I do question some of the validity of the Lindor stuff, although Puma's a great reporter, so he's not going to make stuff up. Like there was something that was a little bit off, but probably not as hyped as people were saying. I think they just have different styles of leadership and like how they handle stuff in the locker room, maybe or whatnot. But I think he's still going to be excellent. Yeah, that is funny. You say he's coming for Shohei. I'm not as sold about the stolen bases for a couple reasons because you guys lost Richardson. And I thought Richardson was a big part of that, although I'm sure he learned from him some stuff he'll keep. And the second part is like the league's going to be looking for him to run now. Like they weren't really looking for it as much last year, although he did start to do it even when they were figuring it out later in the year. So like well, I don't know if he'll steal as much again, but the fact he did steal that much definitely took us all by surprise because he's not really that fast.
Right, right, right. And but that is something that I think we will continue to see because I saw him do it a little bit. He did it in the World Baseball Classic where he kind of stole a base where nobody was kind of paying attention to
I think
him.
I did see. I think I saw one of them
Um,
actually.
right. Like I still don't think people are going to show him that respect because, mind you, it's not like he's gonna do it every single time, but he's gonna catch you sleeping. It's like I said, I think he
Yeah,
figured something out when it comes to
maybe.
stealing bases that I don't think it's gonna go away. Is he gonna steal 38? Probably not, but I can pencil him in for 25 if
Yeah.
he does
Yeah.
it the way I
Okay.
think he
Okay.
would because he
Maybe.
didn't really
Yeah.
get caught a lot either, which is the
Yeah.
surprising
That's
part.
the thing.
Like his
I
stolen
can't
base
believe he
percentage
led
was
the league. No, that's crazy. Yeah, he actually
right.
led
Like
to
he was
that.
at the top of the league, all of Major League Baseball with stolen base percentage, which is insane. Because we're talking about Juan Soto, but this is a Juan Soto that's coming into age 27. And he's coming for some smoke. He was talking to Yankee fans today after they put out their little hype video talking about that, rent free. And I like it. Like, listen, I understand that people, are so used to the Mets and the Mets players being laid back and not really pushing back or fighting back. I think Juan Soto kind of like, nah, wait a minute. I've got to control the narrative a little bit because people were getting carried away with the way they were kind of talking about him when he wasn't really saying anything. He was just keeping to himself. So
Yeah.
that's something to really think about. But Francisco Lindor is the next person I want to talk about because, again, we're talking about a player here who was third in runs scored, fifth, tied for fifth in the National League in hits, had 31 home runs, which is tied for eighth in the National League, and it's I think his third or fourth straight season with the Mets where he's hitting 30 home runs or more. That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Francisco Lindor is someone who, one, I'm a big fan of, not just because we're both Puerto Rican, but he set a franchise record for most leadoff home runs in a single season last year, and that's not going to go away. He's going to continue hitting leadoff. But Francisco Lindor, what do you see him? Because I see him as the biggest piece to this team now that Pete Alonso's not there anymore. Like, this is his team. This is his team. This is Soto's team. I think we're gonna see a different dynamic with those two. What you think?
Yeah, they really got to lock in and make sure to lead the guys back after what happened last year. I wonder how Lindor is going to heal with the hamate injury. I know he's getting close. I think it's like it's a tough injury though. Like that having that wrist bone messed up or whatever. Like hopefully he can swing it okay when he gets activated. I think they're both going to be excellent though. I think you'll definitely see Soto play at a similar, if not higher level. Lindor, I'm not as sure about because he's getting older and he does have the injury, but I think he's still going to be solid, obviously. I'm not going to say he's going to be a bum, obviously, but I have some concerns a little bit. But I think he'll have, he still has that line of protection with Soto hitting behind him, though, so he'll still have a very good year. Obviously, his defense is still good. But the decline is coming for Lindor just because of like his age.
Okay, okay. That's I don't think it's going to be there just yet because he does play every day, which is something that I think you're taking into account. Like, he plays so
Yeah.
many games year in and year out, which is kind of like wow. So, he had the back injury at the end of 2024. Now the hamate injury here. He did play the majority of the game. I think he played 160 plus last year. I think he was 160 or 161, but he played so many games last year and the year before
Yeah.
that. I think that's what benefits him. I think the more he stays on the field, the better it is for him because I think if injuries start to play a factor, we'll start to see kind of like a Carlos Correa type of, coming back down to earth for Lindor if injuries become a thing with him. I don't think so because he take care of his body very, very well. He's always in great shape. When I saw him on the field last year, he was in phenomenal shape. So I don't think the injuries are gonna be a thing, but you know, we'll, I hope that a decline isn't coming. I know a lot of people have been forecasting that. It's been something that's been popping off in the airwaves about people, thinking that he's gonna go back and come back down to earth and be a little bit more mortal. But I don't know if that's the case just yet. I think there's still some more Francisco Lindor to go around before we start
Oh,
seeing.
okay. And I made a mistake. My bad. He is in the opening day roster. I thought he wasn't going to be ready because of hamate, but he's good to go. So that's
Yes,
good.
yes, yes.
Hopefully he's able. So let me clarify that. So that's good. Hopefully he responds well in real game action. So that part I said is still true. But I'm actually surprised how quick he was able to come back because I know that's a rough timetable sometimes. But good that he was able to do it and he got it taken care of early on.
Yeah, the team did say that this was something that they spoke to him about, spoke to the doctors about, and they said that this wasn't like a regular, you know, break. Like, with some people, like with Francisco Alvarez last year, was I think he broke the hamate like he just broke it. I think
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor had a probably could have been like a microfracture or something that was significant enough to bother him to where he needed to just get it removed or to get
Yeah.
something done with it. But I don't think it was something that was that bad because clearly he's come back very very fast, rapidly. He's gonna be on the opening day roster tomorrow, today when he plays. But I will say this though, again, I still think we still have a good Francisco Lindor that's going to be out there. He's one of the best defensive shortstops in the game, and I think he's definitely going to play. Now, we're going to talk about somebody who definitely, for the first time in his career, is going to be in the show playing right field for the New York Mets is Carson Bench. Now I know you'd like to dip your toes into the minor league pool a little bit to interview
Of
some of
course
those
I do.
players. So I don't know if you got a chance to rub some elbows with Carson and ask him some
I did.
questions, but oh no, you're right. You did. I did see that interview. I did see that interview. It was a great interview, by the way. It's just coming to me now. But what did you get from Carson in that interview that you did with him that kind of leads you to see, like, you look where he is now? He is the starting right fielder for the New York Mets.
Well, I know you've listened to me, so I said all offseason I thought he was going to win the right field job. Like when
Right.
people asked about it, I was like, I thought he was going to get it. I mean, David Stearns gave him the opportunity and he took advantage of it. I just think you have a really good hitter that's just scratching the surface because he used to pitch and he started to hit more. Like when I first spoke to him, actually, it was last spring training in Port St. Lucie. For the first time I met him, and he said he was talking about how he was focusing on fully hitting now, and he was kind of growing into that. Last year, you saw that full development with the full season, opposed to just being drafted in July and getting like what 2 months of a minor league season, maybe. I mean, he's really done a lot in a short time. He was the first round pick in 24, and he's already up. Good development job by them. He really hit well at every level, honestly. He's a good defender too, has some speed, and I just think that he's gonna be pretty good. I don't know how good it's gonna go right away. He might need some patience just because it's a new situation for him, but he's probably gonna hit well like 8 or 9. I think that's a good spot to start him, and then I think he'll be a pretty good defender who could steal a few bags. And then he should have like at least a league average bat his first year, and then after that, it should just only get better. So I think that Met fans should be excited about Bench. I think it's a better option than playing Tyrone Taylor, and I think it's gonna be pretty good. I think he's gonna have a good career.
All right. So before we get out of here, right? The Pittsburgh Pirates made some moves, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they're. I don't know if you call it they're trying to tell Paul Skeens like, look, we're investing in the team or not. So
Yeah,
final thoughts on the Pirates and what you think they're doing with the moves that they made this year, because I felt like they missed out on some opportunities. I felt like they could have
they
signed
did.
Murakami, right? I felt like they could have signed Akamoto as well, and I felt like
Yeah.
they missed out on those opportunities because those guys signed for cheap. But what do you think about the Pirates and their commitment to Paul Skeens and the future?
I think they get like a B off season for me because like they did do some stuff, but it wasn't quite enough. Maybe can they do a trade the deadline had at bat? I mean, I'm sure they do have a lot of pitching in their system. That's the one thing they have done well. Bubba Chandler's an exciting arm that's going to be in the rotation that people have been talking about for a few years. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. Jared Jones has been in the shell for a while. Whenever he returns, that's going to be a big boost. I remember how good he was before he went down. He was like the Skeens kind of before Skeens started getting the hype. Jared Jones was actually there before Skeens. He used to be like he was like not like Skeens obviously, but he was like their young top pitcher before Paul came in. So like I love the Branson Lau move. I actually called that one to a T. Really big into the Branson Lau move. I
Right,
was really big on them getting Okamoto just because like they got O'Hannon for first. So I wasn't like as into Murakami for them.
right,
I thought Okamoto was the guy to get though because they don't have a good third baseman still really.
right,
And then they also missed out on Gino. They could have had Suarez too. That deal
right.
was not that bad. and I think they matched it. The Pirates made the mistake of matching the deals a couple times. You have to exceed. You can't just match them because Gino was going back to Cincinnati. He wasn't gonna like go to
Right.
Pittsburgh if the money was even.
Right.
And then I forgot the other player they did this with. Like they tried to let low ball Kyle Schwarber. That wasn't gonna work, but they actually did try at least. But it
Right.
wasn't. It was never gonna happen, obviously.
Yeah.
So like I think they're missing a right-handed bat probably still, but Ozuna was a good pickup though. Let's not forget about Ozuna.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's gonna
Ozuna,
DH for them.
that's a
Yeah.
good pickup for them, and that could help. And Ozuna's gonna be hungry because the Braves kind of left him for dead, and no one really gave him a good deal. So
Right.
Ozuna's gonna be looking for blood when he steps into Pittsburgh. So we'll have to see what he has left because he definitely had a fall off last year. I'm
Right.
not going to sugarcoat it, but maybe he finds it this year. So I think the Pirates are actually better. So are they quite good enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. Are they an
Probably not.
80 win team? They could win 80, maybe get around like 85, like maybe get close to a playoff spot, but not quite make it. So I think it'll be an interesting series for the Mets. I mean, Mets will probably take 2 out of 3 early guess just because like the Pirates might win Skiing's Day. So like we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. And not to forget, they do have Connor Griffin, who is
That's
one,
another one.
one of
Yes, he
those
will
guys that
come.
everybody.
Yes, he
It was
will come.
kind of
Yeah.
crazy that they did not call him up to play an opening day. But it's the
I can tell you
Pirates.
why. I think I actually don't blame them for this, believe it or not, because like here's the thing. I think they were ready to do it, but he didn't play well enough in spring training.
Oh, okay.
I That's how I feel about it. I heard like they were ready to do it. Like someone said that they thought it was going to happen, but like he didn't really perform that well in spring outside the few bombs. Like
Yeah.
that's the problem. I think he will get up there this year though. Yeah, I don't know exactly when, but we'll have to see how he does in AAA.
All right. We'll see. That's to come. But the Mets and the Pirates are going to do business. They're going to do work this week before the Mets go down to St. Louis. So, Julian, thank you so much for stopping by the show. And we're definitely going to be chopping it up a lot this year. So, look out for that. And again, look out for Julian Gallardi. He does great interviews, and he's gonna do a stream watch party for the Yankees. So everybody, just tell everybody where they could find you at, where they could see your
Okay.
stuff.
All right, so here's the thing. We're changing a few things, so I'm gonna be cordial here, but like it's Julian Gallardi on YouTube. That's what you search, and my buddy Jared's working with me too. And then you search my name on TikTok, Facebook, you find me. Instagram is Julian Gallardi 11, and Twitter X is Julian Gallardi 1. Everywhere else, search Latino Sports on all platforms. That's where you'll find me. A lot of big stuff coming up with that and my channel. And Rashid, thank you for so much. Looking forward to chopping. I know you're gonna come in the show too, so we'll have
Yeah,
some
for
more
sure. You already
conversations
know.
over there, and we'll get that going. So, well, it'll be a very interesting opening series as the Yankees go to play the Giants to start the season, and I hope to see you at a ballpark soon.
Of
And
course,
either
of course.
side, in New York somewhere. But if not, I'm sure I'll catch you around relatively soon.
Of course, man. Thank you for stopping by. Again, guys, Julian Gallardi, thank you for joining us. And again, guys, Mets Pirates is going to be a great one. Catch us for the next Mets series preview where we're going to be recapping this weekend series and we're going to be previewing the St. Louis Cardinals against the New York Mets when the Mets go down to St. Louis for the second series of the season. Thank you again, Julian. I appreciate it.